Welcome to the SABC News COVID-19 Global Wrap. I am Busisiwa Khatebe. This week, I bring you highlights of news which dominated headlines with regards to the coronavirus pandemic. But before we delve into it, let us have a look at some global stats. The world currently sits at over 108 million confirmed cases, with over 80 million recoveries and over 2.3 million deaths. South Africa currently sits at over 1.4 million confirmed cases, with over 1.3 million recoveries and over 47,000 deaths. Staying in South Africa, during his State of the Nation address on Thursday, President Cyril Ramaphosa said the first phase of the country's vaccination program, which is targeted at health and other frontline workers, will use the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Ramaphosa says the vaccine has shown to be effective against the COVID-19 501YV2 strain found in South Africa. Earlier this week, South Africa temporarily suspended the AstraZeneca vaccine rollout due to the vaccine having a 22% efficacy on mild to moderate cases of the COVID-19 strain found in South Africa. The president says South Africa has secured 9 million doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, with the first batch of 80,000 doses due to arrive next week. Further consignments totaling 500,000 Johnson & Johnson vaccines will arrive over the next 4 weeks. And lastly, Health Minister Dr. Zweli Mkhize says it is not clear if there could be a third wave of the COVID-19 pandemic in the country. However, Mkhize has urged people to adhere to the COVID-19 regulations to avoid the surge. On to the rest of Africa. The continent has now recorded over 3.7 million confirmed COVID-19 cases, with over 3.2 million recoveries, and the death toll stands at 97,385. The World Health Organization says COVAX is expected to start sending millions of COVID-19 vaccines to Africa this month. In a statement, WHO says COVAX has notified countries in Africa of the estimated dose allocation for the first phase of the vaccine delivery. The African Union's disease control body said it was in discussions with Johnson & Johnson for the supply of more vaccine doses, while it also said it was not walking away from AstraZeneca's vaccine. And finally, Kenya is going ahead with its plan to inoculate its citizens using AstraZeneca's vaccine, while Zimbabwe has bought 600,000 shots from China's Sinopharm, in addition to the 200,000 doses that China has donated. And in international news, the United States of America reported its biggest drop in COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations since the pandemic began. The country reported a 25% drop in new cases of COVID-19 to about 825,000 last week. According to a Reuters analysis, new cases have now fallen for 4 weeks in a row to the lowest level since early November, while the average number of COVID-19 patients in hospitals fell by 15% to 88,000 last week. Deaths fell 2.5% last week to 22,193, excluding a backlog of deaths reported by Indiana. Fatalities were down 9.5%. Despite the drops, however, health officials expressed their concern over new variants of the virus that could potentially slow or reverse progress made thus far. At least 3 new variants of the novel coronavirus are circulating in the United States, including the UK variant B.1.1.7, which researchers say is 30% to 40% more contagious. In South America, Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro says the country will receive the first 100,000 doses of Russia's Sputnik V coronavirus vaccine next week. An official with the Pan American Health Organization said last week that between 1.4 million and 2.4 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine had been reserved for Venezuela and could arrive by the end of February. Meanwhile, ranking number 12 in the world, Argentina surpassed 2 million COVID-19 cases this week, while the country has thus far received over 800,000 doses of Russia's Sputnik V vaccine. In Asia, the European Union has approved the first shipment of Pfizer Inc.'s COVID-19 vaccine to Japan as the country aims to start vaccination by mid-February. Japan plans to vaccinate medical workers first, then the elderly, followed by people with health conditions and those working at elderly care facilities. And in Europe, new figures released by Russia's State Statistics Service on Monday reported 162,429 deaths related to COVID-19 in the country last year, amounting to the world's third highest death toll from the disease in 2020. The figure is almost 3 times higher than the 57,555 deaths attributed to COVID-19 in 2020 by Russia's coronavirus task force. It renews questions about how the COVID-19 death toll is calculated in the country and its effectiveness in dealing with the pandemic. Meanwhile, Germany will extend restrictions to curb the spread of the coronavirus until the 7th of March. And in Portugal, the first 2 cases of the new Brazilian variant of the coronavirus were detected on Wednesday. The Brazilian variant shares some characteristics with highly transmissible mutations first detected in Britain and South Africa. And finally, new data from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention shows that double masking can significantly improve protection from COVID-19. The double masking includes using a cloth mask over a medical procedure mask. Researchers also found that overall performance of medical procedure masks alone can be improved by folding mask edges inward and knotting ear loop strings where they meet mask fabric to reduce gaps. For the latest updates on the coronavirus, visit sabcnews.com.